The Davis family, I think, is rich because of. Remember, he didn't come from money. Like, wasn't I don't remember what the fuck Al Davis did, but he wasn't.
He ended up owning a team. Yeah,
like he's the one family. Because remember, they always talk about them being broke, where they can barely make payroll.
He wasn't in business before. He was a coach.
Yeah, wasn't he in football? Like he was.
Yeah.
Their money is football, and that's why they've had. And now they're probably fine now because they're in fucking Vegas.
Oh no, Mark Davis. The fact that he could walk around with that goofy haircut. It's like, hey, Buster Brown, man, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Do you think he's like Bob Keeshan, Captain Kangaroo? Those are the only two people ever that wore that haircut. We're proud of it, right? I mean, Mark Davis, he is living the dream. This guy, he's got babes. He owns the Las Vegas Raiders, but he seems like, honestly, I saw a feature on him on 60 Minutes. And, maybe everybody looks and goes, holy shit, how did that fat fuck get so rich? And the inheritance seemed like somebody that would be interesting to talk to because on the surface, observing this guy, he seems like somebody that understands how fucking lucky he was
to
be in that position.
Time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. We peel ourselves off the mat on this Monday. I'm Jeff DeForest, along with one Mike Lubie Lubitz, and I suppose we should begin this thing with a little bit of a song, huh, Lubie?
I was gonna play it. I don't have it. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, not that song. Oh my God. I've gone. There was a fighter I used to have to cover a bunch of his fights, and he wasn't terrible. He actually achieved, I believe, at one point a world championship. One of the belts was a super middleweight. He was involved in the super middleweight competition when they Showtime, I believe it was, had the super middleweight tournament. Everybody was at 168 pounds. There was a guy named King Arthur Abraham. Used to fight a lot on the Seminole Warriors cards at the Hard Rock. So I covered any number of his bouts. I don't know that I ever called any of them, but he just stood there with the gloves in front of his face the entire time. It was the ultimate extrapolation of the Floyd Patterson peekaboo style. And that's where I'm at with the just keeping the gloves in front of my face and hoping the ref steps in and stops it at some point before I start bleeding from every pore. But we shall see with that. I wasn't thinking about that song.
Okay, sorry.
I was thinking about this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It's a new dawn, Lubie, and we welcome an audience, and we hope we're all over their various platforms right now.
We're on one right now. We are on their
Bleacher Brothers, man.
I think of it as Twitter, but it is X officially. And I've learned that this morning.
The great A.J. Johnson putting this thing together. I mean, this is one hard-working son of a gun. I have great respect for people that stick to it no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the office last night going over details. And yes, AJ, I will get you that tax form. Don't worry about that. We're just trying to put together his 2003 taxes, waiting on my document to be able to get that going. But appreciate it. And variety of platforms. And that's one of the reasons we punched in a little bit late here. We were thinking about shortening the show to a half hour, because brevity works in this modern era. The less you're on, the better off you are. But I think for now, we're just going to keep it as our traditional 8 o'clock post time, although it was 8:15 today. But that's because, Lubie, you were doing a variety of technical things to get us into the program here. And then you forgot that Twitter is now X.
I know it's X, but like I always see it as Twitter/X, so I figured they would too. And no, it's just X.
It's amazing, isn't it? How complicated the simplest of things. I mean, they make it. It couldn't get any easier. It's one letter, right? It's as if you were signing your name and you were Leon Spinks. Just a big X. Thank you, Don. As Don King was putting his hands in his pockets there and taking every cent that he possibly could have made right out and into his own bank account. But no, good to be with you on Bleacher Brothers. Very excited about this. I've been doing some things with Bleacher Brothers for the last several months, including our conversations. We had License to Steal on there. We may come back with that, but Conversations goes every Tuesday at 4 o'clock, and could be a surprise guest involved. Our guest is going to be a man who's known as the Commissioner, Randy Gordon. Randy Gordon would be second only to Burt Sugar in terms of being recognized as a boxing savant.
Okay.
Been involved in boxing forever. He actually was the commissioner of the New York State Athletic Commission, done a lot of color commentary, various networks. I had the pleasure of calling some fights with him. So Randy's going to be our guest, but AJ, very familiar with Randy Gordon, was excited about it. And this was one of those things, Lubie, where you're kind of running something by the boss man. And I feel responsible to bring not necessarily the highest profile guest because I'm looking for good conversations
Yes,
in
that's
the
the
show.
thing. That's the
People
thing.
that have stories to tell, and kind of like what we saw at Paul Mercurio at the Broward Center for the Performing Arts. By the way, I
Yes.
mean, if you were pissed off about the concession stands at ball games,
Oh my God, that was crazy. Like literally, Shirley's like, let me get the mojito. I'm like, that's fine. It's 15, but it's a mojito. It was a fucking Budweiser can mojito. I'm like, you can get 6 for $10. I'm like,
oh, I
what a
got
markup.
whacked. I was flattened by a left hook.
I'm like, what a markup that is.
Unbelievable.
I'm like, that's amazing. I'm like 90, like 80, 90, 80, $90 for fucking 6. Whereas you can, oh my God, good for them at the Broward Center.
They are raking it in. Now, I felt this way. It's almost like when you have like a stack of losing lottery tickets and you're thinking, well, you know what? They say 50% of this goes to education. So I've educated half a kid here, or maybe paid for half a school. This was obscene. It really was. Now I've always known this. I'm going back. My dad used to take me to the theater in New York. He was a very cultured individual, and while I would much rather would have gone to a Met game, he would take us to see shows and musicals and plays and dramas and it was a good thing to be exposed to. There's a little bit of an actor in anybody that does this for a living, no doubt
Well, and
about
the
it.
reality is, as much as you joke about not being well read, because most sports fans aren't big readers outside
Yeah.
of the news, you actually reference a lot of things that people who are erudite and well versed in reading and have a bigger vocabulary are like, oh shit, how does Defo know that? I feel like, and I've always in my heart felt a lot of it came from your dad. Your dad was
Oh, no doubt.
very well
Yeah.
read, and he made sure, I don't give a fuck, my son's going to be well read, even if I have to put it in his head.
It's crazy. I don't know that anybody be reading anymore. You're going to get everything off TikTok once it comes back
Honestly.
officially. Once the Trumpster gets back into
It's back. It was back
action,
yesterday. It was gone for literally like 8 hours.
back
It was
already.
back.
People were sobbing in the streets. It was crazy. So we're happy to be on AJ's a great site here,
Gates
Bleacher
Brothers
Brothers
Twitter.
Network. I know how hard this man has worked and how much time he puts into it, and I believe it really is going to take. A great flight. Not even just move forward, but I mean a flight where we're going to be flying. So optimistic as always about any new venture, and happy to be a part of the thing, and looking very much forward to it. No, but that was a shellacking at the concession stands, and when I used to go to the theater, I always got a kick out of it because the entrepreneur in me kind of was sparked and ignited. My dad later on owned a theater very briefly. He owned he leased a theater and was putting on shows, summer stock shows in Oyster Bay, Long Island. And I got to run the concession stands when I was like 12 or 13 years old.
Oh, jeez.
And my favorite thing about it, Lubie, never mind Pam Bondi, it was price gouging. Of course, you could charge a guy like $4 for a Coke and then pour in the slightest thimble of soda over a big glass full of ice and think to yourself, my God, I paid 69 cents for the entire 2-liter bottle. And I'm creaming these guys. I'm loving it, man. I can't wait for intermission. Come on out, people. Hey, soda here. That was my thing. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. That was a little sticker shock. And what was worse about it, Lubie, and this happens, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself in any way famous, but known around town to many, many people. And sure enough, a good friend of mine who was a bartender at various places that I've frequented in the past, first thing I hear is I'm stepping up to the concession stands and I'm sort of eyeballing the prices just to make sure I got enough money. I won like 400 at the track that day on Friday. So I'm thinking, all right, I got this covered. And I'm looking at the prices, and the guy goes, "Hey, Defo, how the fuck are you?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I know the guy. Now I'm going to have to tip according to whatever these prices
Oh,
are."
no.
Man, Mercurio was very funny though, but he did a thing where I don't know how he did this. If you ever did sports talk radio, you would never conceive of a show like this where he was picking people out of the crowd and bringing them up on stage and having them tell their story. Everybody has a story. And that's what it's all about. So we're happy to be here, and we'll tell you our stories, including, and we will get into some of the pertinent material here because it was a great weekend of football. Except, are you familiar, Lubie, with the name Eddie Erdelatz? Eddie Erdelatz.
No.
Okay, he was a former Navy coach, and he is largely credited. And this phrase may go back, I mean, into ancient Greece. I'm not sure of its origins. I always thought it was a relatively modern one. Maybe Paul Bear Bryant deserved credit for saying this, or you could have got Darrell Royal. I think was a frequent practitioner of using the phrase that a tie is like kissing your sister. Lubie.
Yeah. We've all heard that, especially sports.
Eddie Erdelatz in the 50s supposedly was the first guy to apply that to football. A tie is like kissing your sister. And of course, we despise ties in actual games and are happy now that they're settled. Even if it's a fugazi system of overtime, we're very happy to see games settled and the outcome decided once and for all. Although, how many times has this happened? Has it happened more than once in the NFL under its new configuration of overtime with the 10-minute overtime period where games have ended in a tie? I guess we've had a couple of them since they instituted that. I don't, none this year that I can think of.
No. Like every year, every so often, there's like one. But again, that doesn't happen in the playoffs. That's just a regular season thing.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going to go sudden death in the playoffs, and after they get by the original extrapolation of whatever the hell it is that they have constituted as overtime in the pros, which makes no sense to me ever. At least in the professional game, if a team gets a touchdown on the opening drive in overtime, you're guaranteed a possession.
Yes.
But in a regular season, of course, why not just have a different set of rules? That would make perfect. But in gambling, a tie is not like kissing your sister. It's filthy and disgusting. It's worse than that. It would be like literally like making love to your sister, like being in Tennessee or Alabama,
Oh God!
and thinking that was cool. Because and this happened to me. I don't know that I've ever seen it happen with this frequency. In the case of the weekend playoff games, it happened to me twice. Once based on the fact that the guy I was betting with, my good friend Francesco, gets his lines out of the Jewish Journal, and so I had the Kansas City game somehow at Kansas City laying 9. Did that number ever pop up as an official number? Because everywhere I saw it was posted as 8.5. Everywhere except in the bet that I was involved in, because he dictates the odds and hands me the team that I'm going to be backing.
I had seen 9.5 here. So if you saw
9.5, okay,
maybe 9.5, 8.5, you split the difference is 9. Like that's not so bad by Francesco's standards.
No, he's a dozen points off. Yeah, where the fuck did you get 15 from, Francesco?
It's like that's a grado shit.
That'd be like out of a monthly newspaper, maybe out of the Daily Racing Form, where it's yesterday's news tomorrow. Kelso to run in Metropolitan Mile.
Oh my God!
Japan surrenders. You're like, what? Japan? Those are the two headlines. Wait a minute. That was like 50 years ago. What are you talking about? Anyway, so I don't know that I've ever seen this. There were two then with the line at 9, and it was referenced. So I guess that was a number that was not uncommon. Wasn't as egregious as the usual Francesco point spread that he gives me. But the line at 9, they went all Al Michaels on the broadcast even. Very uncharacteristic. Was it Buck and Aikman that were doing the game? The Kansas City game? Is that possible?
No, that was the late game was Romo and
the Kansas City
the Bills Ravens was Romo and yeah, I don't. You're right. It might have been Buck and Aikman.
Could have been. I don't know. Was that an ABC game, ESPN game? I don't really remember where I was watching it, but and they were making reference to the fact that you had a backdoor push happen in that ball game if you had the line at 9 points. Now there was, of course, the issue of the officials, which I don't know how you felt about that, Lubie. We've been saying this all season long. It is not uncommon for superstars to get favorable treatment. We've all witnessed what happens with Patrick Mahomes. It seems like if there's a questionable suspect flag, you're looking around now almost every play in the National Football League. And it's become common for announcers to allude to this, where they say, well, that's incomplete and there are no flags.
Yes, they have to actually mention no, which you would
no
think.
Flags.
You don't mention no flags, but there's so many flags that they have to mention.
No flags. Look at that. No flags. You just watch a guy get creamed. like it was Stingley, ramming some guy in the back there with his helmet. And you're thinking, all right, no flags. An actual play that transpired without somebody else coming in there and giving a bizarre interpretation of what really should have happened. So, in that game, you're up 9. Oh, you're up 11 with 15 seconds to go.
Oh, the fucking punt, yeah.
Right. So now, what?
Oh my God, that's how you got the push. Oh Jesus.
You talk about an ugly backdoor
Oh,
push. Now,
God.
I will say this in defense of the fat man Andy Reid, and I don't know if he was betting that game and maybe bet against the Chiefs. It's possible. Do you think Reid was laying 9 points with the Chiefs, or more than that, or against himself, and somehow he decided to pull a weird strategic play? But strategically, it actually was justified. Louis.
Well,
That's the sad part about it.
I'm just doing the math now because I had the game on because this was Saturday, right? I had the game on, but we were like bullshitting, doing stuff. My wife was losing it over the TikTok shit. So
I can't imagine. Women were weeping. They literally were weeping.
early. Her sister and her best friend were on a conference call, and they do business together. So I'm like, oh, they must be doing business. And they were just like, well, what if we try this? What if we try that? I'm like, oh my God, I can't. So anyway, so I had the game on, but like I missed the shit with Mahomes where he got the ridiculous penalty where he didn't get one for frauding. Like I missed that, and I'm watching it because they had a lead and they were winning. Like I never. Everyone's discounting the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's like they missed the whole Warriors dynasty. It's like if you haven't realized that they've become the Warrior, like this is their 7th straight eight. Like this is not new to them. They're like, look, let's just do enough. But anyways, we'll talk more about that. But so I wasn't like in on the game. I just knew what was going on. And then I saw the punt shit. But think about it now. If they fall on it, get the doing conversion, there still would have been enough time. It was like 30 seconds.
15 seconds.
Onside. Yeah, okay. There was like an onside and kick a field goal. You sort of had to, once it was botched, you had to take the safety. Like you couldn't even, because then the game's over. Like they were able to celebrate. If you allowed them to get a score there, holy shit, all hell would have fucking broken loose.
At 9 points, nobody wins, nobody loses.
Yeah.
So is a tie like kissing your sister? Now, if you happen to be on the side of the Texans in that ball game, you caught a miracle.
Yes.
And if you were already counting your money, you were standing in line at the window going, 2,000 on the Chiefs. You feel like a fucking asshole. Sportsbook managers look at it and you go, we're giving everybody their money back who had it at 9.
Oh my God.
But the call was justified because you would much rather, there's no risk in having the guy punt the ball away or whatever. I don't know if they kicked it off because I was so disgusted when I saw the guy.
He did a regular kick. He didn't even do the punt. He did a regular kick.
Okay, so that made perfect sense. There's a chance a snap gets botched, sails over the guy's head. Now you're in trouble. So you take all of the risk out of that play if you're Andy Reid. All right, it sucks. If you had it at 8.5, you're feeling pretty good. Chiefs, are they vulnerable? Maybe. Or are they getting such favorable officiating?
Yes.
Lubie, that it's to the point where there should be some kind of an investigation launched. I don't know. Is this a Taylor Swift conspiracy type of thing? We'll probably hear more about that at the inauguration today when Trump goes into, you know what? I fucking had the Texans on the money line.
Exactly. He said bitching.
See, now that would maybe endear me to the idea that emboldened me that maybe the next 4 years wouldn't be so rough. I always liked it when Barack Obama was doing brackets, although he was a chalk-eating motherfucker. Wasn't he?
He was horrendous at it.
With all the favorites. Okay.
All ones. It's like, that's never happened.
Hey, Michelle, does this guy pick anything but favorites? Very dignified man, in my opinion, and somebody that did the world a lot of good. I don't know. People might argue that, but
No,
I don't want to alienate people on Bleacher Brothers with our political standpoint. But we are who we are. That's it.
I hope that was
fine.
I'm like, I hope you don't change the show. I'm like, we're never mean. We're not pundits. We just
no, and I'm not going to tell you you're out of your. Well, I might. Out of your fucking.
Don't lie. They would.
All right, so that was number one. A backdoor, just an ugly backdoor. A tie is like kissing your sister, except in gambling. It's a vomit-inducing predicament, unless you were about to get buried there, which I would suppose maybe. Do you think half the money was on the Texans? Probably not. It was a disproportionate amount on the Chiefs, I would think, because nobody gave the Texans a prayer in that ball game, and they hung in there.
They hung in.
Yeah, they hung in there, and it wasn't impossible to see them winning the game, except for the fact that, holy Dwayne Wade, what is Mahomes doing? And there's going to be some kind of rule instituted about flopping, I would think, in the National Football League. It's absolutely awful.
He's bad. Look, the Brady stuff is
players on the Texans collide with each other, and they call unnecessary roughness on Mahomes, who was underneath there going, "Got you again, you assholes!" Incredible. That was one, and then you had the improbable backdoor push cover where the Philadelphia Eagles game. The Eagles and the Rams. So the Eagles are in a position where even if the Rams get a touchdown and an extra point, if this Jake Elliott hadn't missed 2 extra points in the game, but he has a chance to put them in a position where you can't lose to the 6-point spread, or it would appear absolutely as prohibitive as anything. Nothing is ever a lock until the final gun goes off. We know that. But here you had Philadelphia, and they were going to be up a couple of touchdowns. You saw on the clock and the fact that they probably slide into some kind of a snow-induced prevent, which is not going to be the most favorable condition for a bettor. But you had a funny feeling that there was enough time in there for the Rams. If Philadelphia's up 2 touchdowns, for the Rams to go down the field and probably score a touchdown, and mathematically, it would have only made sense for them to go for the extra point. It would have made no sense for them to go for 2 in that spot. But, of course, Jake Elliott misses the second extra point, and so now the lead is 13. And sure enough, if the Rams go down and score and they get a touchdown, which they did, and the extra point, El Pusharoo.
Yeah.
So a slimy, disgusting. I mean, you talk about P. Diddy freak party.
So you were getting 6?
Well, the line was 6 on that game.
See, here it's 7.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It's saying the Rams. It was +7 is what I'm saying here.
I saw 6 just about everywhere, but
okay. So
I didn't have a problem with that. That wasn't Jewish Journal type of stuff.
Yeah. No. The point is what I mean. Nowadays, with all these different places, you can get a half a point or a point. Like that's not.
Well, which is why, I mean, one of the things that company I'm working with, Greenlight Ventures, is advocating is that, and nobody will do this because gamblers are stupid. We don't want to win money. We want to lose. Fueled completely by self-sabotage. And you know what I'm talking about, you Bleacher Brothers fans out there as well. Any gambler is fueled 100%, maybe even higher if there is such a thing, by self-sabotage. So yeah, there's an artificial intelligence application where you can sort of middle games. That was a very famous thing. I mean,
Andy loves this. Andy man loves middling. Like I heard it back in college, and I never heard of it again. And you guys never talk about it. And then Andy, whenever would see Andy, he would always talk about middling.
Yes,
only you middle.
Well, you're getting different numbers on different sites.
There's a lot. It's like a lot of it's a lot of math, and it's a lot of stress, and it's because you're almost against yourself. Like you have to win both ways. Like you have to win almost like you have to win in the middle.
In this case, you can't lose on one side or the other. You're going to have to win.
Yeah,
it may be less money if the favorite wins, but you're going to win something if you do this. But you have to be able to act very quickly. The alerts go out generated by this tech guy out in California. And it tells you, okay, if you bet this team over here at +5 and you bet against them on another site, you are going to win no matter what.
Oh, wow.
There's no way to lose, okay? You might only win if you bet $100. You might only win 20 if one outcome comes about, or 40 if the other outcome comes about, but you're going to win. So why wouldn't everybody just do this as their lone betting activity? Wait for the situation to arise. You have to be in a position to capitalize on it, so you have to have like 8 zillion accounts. It's very much like the reason Andy loves this is because he's a stock trader and a day trader, and it's very similar to that. I mean,
yes, it's what he does. It's like
you have to jump when the situation arises and dive in, and it can't be like you and me, Lubie. We go, hey, I was going to put.
You can't hem and haw. There's no hemming and hawing. You gotta be like
dive right in there, yeah. But why would you want to make a profit when it's guaranteed? When you can do this shit.
Where's the fun in that?
Get yourself just a daily burial, the likes of which you may never recover from. Just gamblers are constantly, I mean, symbolically gargling with embalming fluid, are we not?
100%.
No matter what, even if you get on a roll and you're thinking, okay, I'm winning today, guess what? You're going to lose it back tomorrow. That's the way it goes. And these lines are especially tough. But the outcome of the games, very unusual, Lubie, would you say? A tie is like kissing your sister. Very unusual to have 2 backdoor push covers. Because when Elliott missed that extra point, I immediately texted my friend, another guy that was following the game from a betting standpoint along with me, all the different nuances and all the other prop bets and things like that. And so I said, that is going to be a backdoor push now that this guy missed this extra point. And sure enough, like within minutes, whoosh, they're right down the field there, the Rams. And, you had the 6-point margin, which was dead on the number. So very interesting from that standpoint. Philadelphia, I don't know. Did they look like they had gotten things back together a little bit. I'm not sure that they were overwhelmingly impressive. The Commanders was, of course, the big startling game of the NFL football weekend. And the Commanders are just trouncing the Detroit Lions. You talk about bettors coming out of there looking like, Colonel Kurtz, just mumbling to themselves, the horror, the horror. How many people were overwhelmingly confident that not only would the Lions win this game in a rout, but that 9.5 points was almost like stealing if you were laying 9.5 points in that game? And you saw Dan Campbell. I don't know. Is this any kind of indictment against Dan Campbell? I'm not sure that it was his coaching. 5 turnovers will do you in.
I mean, Goff, it was an indictment on Goff. Like, Goff, the guy that the Rams didn't think was enough to win a Super Bowl, traded him to the Lions. He was sort of in obscurity, and then he rose back up to the guy that was once the number 1 pick and led a team to a Super Bowl that he lost because they couldn't score in the goddamn Super Bowl versus an Patriots team. Went back to that. It was literally, and the turnovers weren't even like, it was just stupid shit. It's like, oh my God, Goff, what are you doing? Like, because they clear their defense, the injuries finally caught up with them on defense. Like, they couldn't, and the Commanders have a nice offense, but they're not the fucking greatest show on turf. Like, the Commanders' offense is fine, and it's a rookie quarterback, so they shouldn't have been able to go up and down the field like that. But the Lions are so injured that they had no answer for the Commanders.
No, gave up 45 points.
And then you're adding in the dude had 3 turnovers himself. It's like, oh my God.
Horrible. Yeah. It's a stunning result. That was probably the big shocker, right? Because everybody thought, oh, geez, nice story there. Jaden Daniels. Many people thought that he wasn't going to be anywhere near the most effective of the quarterbacks that came out in last year's rookie draft. You do have people that have belief in some of the others. Bo Nix, of course, distinguished himself as being somebody. May in New England, maybe with a new coach, might fare a little bit better. They didn't have much on their roster there. I mean, it was very slim pickings for May to try and work with. And he showed signs of life, as they say in horse racing, signs of life. Yep. But Daniels, far and away, I mean, this is a rookie of the year. He's been fantastic. It could be, I don't know, is anybody mentioning him as a possible MVP? Pulled off any number of miracles during the course of the regular season. You're thinking it's NFL, it's Jerry Glanville time with him, not for long, because if you're going to continue to dive forward and play without any caution whatsoever in terms of trying to protect your longevity in the league, just playing play-by-play individually, you're probably going to be out of there after, does he last less time in the league as an effective, impactful quarterback than RG3?
I don't know. They remind me of each other. He needs to learn quickly to get the hell out or get down, because that's literally what ruined RG3.
Great story. And would you not? I mean, how much of a shot would you give them to beat the Philadelphia Eagles? Imagine the guy that probably did not sleep a wink last night, Joe Shane, although he somehow was preserved and kept in place as the general manager of the New York Giants, where Joe Shane decided to sign Jones instead of Saquon Barkley. Let him walk out the door, and a guy goes for a deuce in the divisional playoff game, and clearly has been the main impetus behind any success that the Philadelphia Eagles have had this year, with Hurts not necessarily looking anywhere near as effective as he's been in the past. Has that decline been evidenced for like the last year and a half, Lubie? With Jalen Hurts, a couple of years?
Yeah. Remember, did he get hurt the year they went to the Super Bowl? He played really well that year. And he played well in the Super Bowl. And the playoff run, he was okay. And then the Super Bowl, he played really well. Like, he put up nuts numbers. And then the last 2 years, he's dealt with different injuries. And it almost feels like the rest of the league is sort of caught up with him, quote unquote. That's my problem with the Strouds, the Loves, and now Jaden Daniels. Like, when a guy has one one great year like that, it's like, okay, what about next year? But for now, Daniels is that dude. And Hurts. But the Eagles are a good enough franchise to realize, okay, Hurts may not be what we thought he was, but he's good enough to get us there if we give him help. And they went and got fucking Barkley, who carrying the goddamn offense, including in a goddamn blizzard, doing just enough to win that freaking game.
Unbelievable, yeah. And another guy, an ex-Patriot from New York, Mekhi Becton, had just an unbelievable. Maybe the block. This block could erase Jerry Kramer from the indelible impression that you always have of him knocking Jethro Pugh into the second row there at Lambeau Field. I dug the adverse conditions. They weren't adverse enough for me, though, Lubie. I don't know about you.
They're insane. They were too adverse for me. I don't like it. it muddles the game up so much that
I love it
it's
when the defenders are
fluky.
on skates.
I hate that. It's almost fluky. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and Mark Andrews probably could attribute this Jackie Smith moment that he just had, where he drops what would have been a game-tying pass, and this guy was great during the regular season. He's a hell of a player. I mean, the lasting impression of him will be him fumbling and then dropping this pass when he's wide open, about to cross into the end zone for the 2-point conversion, and he's just looking in stunned disbelief as the ball trickles away on the ground, and the Buffalo Bills finally find some salvation. Maybe getting to a possibility, of course, of getting to a 5th Super Bowl. Well, we'll get into that, the possibilities for next week. And, of course, we have the college football championship.
I forgot. I totally forgot. I thought about it this morning. I'm like, oh, fuck, the title game is tonight.
Yeah, the game. I don't know. I mean, it's not anticlimactic. They could have played it a little sooner, and you would at least remember who's in it.
Yep.
Is it Ohio State and Notre Dame?
Yes. I had to remind myself that as well. Yes.
Yeah. I like the bullshit, interview they have where they have the two coaches sitting together, all dressed up and everything. Ryan Day, does he always wear that jacket? Does he have another jacket?
Feels like he does. Feels like it looks the same every time he looks nice.
Doesn't he look like a guy that would be coming out at a Chippendales dance or something? Something about him. And Freeman, everybody loves Marcus Freeman, and it seems like very justified that people have this love affair going with Marcus Freeman. It's hard to think, Lubie, that I would be rooting for Notre Dame tonight.
I don't know what the fuck to do.
Regardless of point spread.
I don't like either team. I'm so confused about this game and like who I shouldn't root for. Like if I had money, you go with what the money is, obviously. So that allows you to root for teams you can't stand because at least you make money on them.
You'd be more likely to applaud Trump being announced as president.
I won't go that far, but I don't know what I'm doing with this game. I watch it and I'm rooting for a good game. It's like the Ravens Bills. I don't like either of those teams. I just wanted it to be a good game. And I guess it sort of ended up becoming a good game, even though Lamar Jackson had his worst game by far of the fucking season. I don't know what to do with that game. I know what I think is going to happen, so that's sort of where I'm leaning. Like, make a prediction, then I'll defend my prediction because I don't like either.
I don't know why I feel Ohio State's going to win the game.
Easy. I think they're going easy.
I'm not sure. The line now is 8 and a hook. Of course, I have it at 9 with Francesco, but I'm not sure what I think about the points. I would imagine, and maybe this was the way to go going into the weekend. Just take all of the underdogs. You would have had 2 pushes, depending on what line you got, and you would have won 2 games with the NFL weekend. You know what's funny, Lubie? How old school am I? I mean, am I an old school, old fool? Maybe you'll come to discover this, especially the new viewers here on Bleacher Brothers to the program, which we do 5 days a week. We're here 8 to 9. We were going to shorten it up in the beginning, try and take a little extra time off, so steal some streaming time. Extra half hour sleep wouldn't hurt anybody. But I think we're going to stick with it because it takes us. Look, it's taken us a half.
We haven't done anything yet.
We haven't done a fucking thing on this.
That's just my thing.
The beauty of the show.
Yes, that's just my thing.
It is. Established nothing except that we try to figure out if Eddie Erdelatz should be credited with a tie is like kissing your sister. Remember how, I mean, vilified. You talk about a guy that you couldn't possibly dodge any number of disparaging remarks for the rest of his career. Pat Dye, when he went for that tie with the Auburn Tigers, 1984, January 1st. He's involved in a bowl game. Auburn's going to be the national champion. If he wins the game, he goes for a tie instead. And the voters, to their credit, just said a gigantic fuck you. Elevated the Hurricanes, who, of course, had scored that marvelous, improbable victory over Nebraska. What was that, 31-30, the final there? Deflected away. Kenny Calhoun, man, fingertip on the ball. It'll be a fingertip. Sonny Hurst was going crazy. He must have had the Canes on the money line. That's when that wasn't even a popular bet. And were it not for the fact that Pat Dye went for the tie in that game with Auburn, in whatever ball game he was in, Canes wouldn't have won their first national championship. The entire spectrum of sport on the college football level from 1983 on might have changed, and we may never have been talking about what turned out to be a magnificent dynasty there that the Hurricanes were able to construct until finally Donna Shalala down by the shore. And you know what? We can't be unscrupulous in our approach. This is a major university. We represent the concept of higher learning, and we want to do it with integrity. It's like, listen, fucking Donna. What are you doing taking checks from Nevin Shapiro? And you're going to tell me
exactly. Miss Integrity.
Get the fuck out. We're coming back with more. We'll try and get into Lubie's dissection of the college football playoff game. Can Notre Dame run the ball, Lubie? Can they run the ball?
I didn't realize the spread was that crazy. I think Ohio State's going to win easily, but I'm seeing 8 and a hook. I don't know what you're getting. That's a lot.
8.5 was the last line I saw. It's been pretty steady.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It might have climbed. 9 might be the highest it was in favor of Ohio State. I'm not sure which way the money's going. I didn't really look into that. If 80% of the people are still betting on one side or the other. But Notre Dame, from a sentimental standpoint, it's either love or hate, is it not, Lubie? He's offsides. I still remember standing up in that bus. It was on the Hurricanes team bus as they were about to get trounced by the University of Connecticut. I think Rip Hamilton was one of the members of the team. They had a lot of really good players there. But was Kevin Ollie on that same team? And Deron Shepard, the Israeli cat?
Yes.
Might have been. Jimmy Calhoun was on a roll, going to the Gampel Pavilion. Leonard Hamilton decides, he says, you know what? Why don't I show the team Rudy? We haven't won a game in the Big East yet. And I hated Notre Dame so much, I felt compelled to scream that he was offsides.
He was offsides.
And Leonard, it was he was very affable when we met him there on that radio Final Four. He was in a great mood, and he was having success then at Florida State. But, he was wondering every day why Paul D is on the trip, the athletic director. I mean, why would he be on a trip? All of a sudden, you're meeting in the hotel bar afterwards, and they ask everybody to leave the room, and you're thinking, that's it, finito.
Yeah, that's not good.
So he plays this. He was very quiet and subdued, very serious. I mean, it seemed like I don't know. Was he? He's a Bible guy, right? Leonard Hamilton. I think
maybe.
He was sort of mumbling, biblical excerpts as he was sitting there in the front of the bus, and all of a sudden, this asshole reporter gets up who shouldn't even be on the bus, except that it was part of the whole team thing, and starts screaming, "He's offsides!" Now the rest of the Hurricane basketball players are doing this. Hey, he's offsides. He's fucking offsides. Leonard still, I believe to this day, we didn't ask him about it because it's a sensitive topic. Still credits me with having something to do with that loss. I think they lost by 40 points that night.
Good. Yeah, well, that team was nuts.
So, Leonard, if that whole bullshit on the bus was worth 2 points, I'd be amazed. I really would. All right, we're going to come back with more in a moment. I'm Jeff DeForest. That's Mike Lubie Lubitz, for those that have never seen us before here on Bleacher Brothers, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
For the uninitiated, do I need to say it? That's the great genial Johnny Addy. It's 8:52.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453.
This comes from the great Defo Lama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Starting from scratch, that's what it's all about. Starting from scratch. We're doing that once again here with the Bleacher Brothers audience. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you found it by accident, it's not the worst situation that can occur. Hey, yeah, I was punching up buttons. I was trying to get airport information. I heard you on 1620, Deef. Great show. I think that was the only station I wasn't on in my 40 plus years here in South Florida. But welcome back, Jeff DeForest. We've got Mike Lubie Lubitz. If you're just joining us on any of the Bleacher Brothers platforms, which includes X and Instagram. What is it on there? TikTok is in there.
Yep.
A lot of different varieties. And
yeah, we'll be on all of them. I haven't put us on there yet, but I will going forward. Yes. Now that
okay.
it's that easy.
A lot of ways to get the show.
It was very easy.
And we're very happy to be with you, and very happy to have launched this whole thing. But yeah, and we do have the college game tonight. How many times have you been given up for dead in your lifetime, Louie? Given up for dead? Where I mean, maybe with you and me. I mean, the only time I can think of was after the bludgeoning there at 940 Wins.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
And people would think, well. I don't know that they thought we were dead, but we've been given up for dead many, many times. So where you have no chance. And that's pretty much the theme that I'm looking at in tonight's college football playoff game. Ohio State, given up for dead. And maybe because people wanted that to come about. Are there actual Buckeye fans out there? I know a few.
Yes, they're one of the bigger programs nationally. It's just down here you don't see it so much.
No, we know that Notre Dame is a universal brand.
Yes,
going all the way back to the Newt.
Yep.
We're gonna win one for the Gipper. Hey, yeah, go fuck yourself. That worked. Well, anything that you can do. I mean, to spark or ignite any kind of motivation that would lead somebody to do better than they otherwise might. If they were unmotivated in that fashion, didn't have that stimulus for the game. All right, so giving up for dead after Michigan, and for good reason, right? We're looking at Ryan Day as being the biggest fucking bonehead that you've ever seen coach a game. Now, Sarkisian, did he evolve into that category with that stupid pitch?
No, he didn't.
Texas a chance against Ohio State. I mean, one of the dumbest play calls. Even if it worked, it's stupid.
Yes.
Do you ever look at a play like that when you're, or anything for that matter, when you're criticizing something or trying to make an observation? Even if it worked, it was dumb.
What I mean, because when you do the Monday morning quarterbacking stuff, people are like, oh, well, it's easy to say now. Like, I remember the minute they snapped it, because I'm like, okay, just fucking, because they were talking about, okay, they'll put Arch in here because Arch is 6'4", 230, and he's the runner, and he doesn't fumble. He doesn't have a fumbling issue. And they'll just do the goddamn push, or they'll do a QB sneak here, and he'll get a half a yard, or it was only second down, so they can do it 3 fucking times if they want to.
Yes.
And then they were in the shotgun. I'm like, oh, okay, that's already wrong. And then he started running to his left. I'm like, what is that? And then I'm like, are they pitching it? I'm like, oh my God, don't pitch it, don't pitch it, don't pitch it. Like before, even if it did, like, I'm like, don't pitch it. What are you fucking doing? And then you're like, yep, there's the pitch.
Many people, many analysts in their in-depth observations of what transpired in the Ravens Buffalo game are alluding to the fact that Josh Allen, did he not look like he was going to flip that ball when he was being tackled just before they went for the field goal? It looked like he was going to flip it to a running back who probably would have waltzed into the end zone had he caught the ball.
Yeah, but Allen, you never know.
Those potential results there were catastrophic. Now, Josh Allen in 2024
Steph does that.
Might have been inclined to do that.
And it gets
Josh
picked
Allen,
off.
now that it's flipped over to 2025, level of maturity has kicked in a little bit, and he realizes I'm having trouble just getting this thing out of here.
Yep.
So my best bet is to just fall on it, get the 3 points, take a 4-point lead, and put the Ravens back on their heels a little bit, forcing them to have to go and do something offensively when they weren't getting a whole lot of mileage out of Derrick Henry in that game, and that was the big issue. What would Henry do? He destroyed them in the previous ball game. So here we are now with the college game. We want to try and figure this out because, wow, I mean, at least for me, the thing has flown by here this morning, Lubie. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 15 minutes late.
Well, yeah, that helps. Yeah, shave 15 minutes of the show. Imagine if this was a half-hour program. What a breeze that would be.
You would have gotten into nothing.
Can we get paid for that? Yeah. Can we make some money? So tonight, I mean, you have two teams that were given up for dead. After the Michigan game, Ryan Day dead. Everybody was calling for his head. It essentially was already being served up on a silver platter there, as if he was in one of the Monty Python movies. And then you had the Northern Illinois loss. And everybody was absolutely, their eyeballs weren't even rolling. They were like inside of their head thinking this Marcus Freeman is a joke.
No, because he had done, remember, they lost to like Marshall, like at home or something under Marcus Freeman. So this is now, he has the propensity to lose. It's not even like the Bobby Bowden game where even Saban a lot of the time would lose a stupid game. They would at least be to like a conference rival or a conference. Like he's losing to like fucking borderline
Marshall.
FCS teams. Like he's losing to like G5 teams. Like you can't at Notre Dame lose those games. So yes, he was getting this reputation of, okay, Marcus, we like you, but it's football. We don't give a shit if we like you. Like you got to win games.
Exactly. I mean, you can kind of see Malkovich in the movie Rounders when he's mocking Matt Damon's character, saying, "Here you come with all the confidence. We're Notre Dame." And you get shellacked by Northern Illinois. Not shellacked, but they lose.
They lost.
That was it. They were given up for dead. Freeman, his tenure as a Notre Dame head coach was maybe more tenuous than Jerry Faust at that point.
No, yeah, no. I mean,
It's been a pattern that was not going to be particularly favorable to his retention of the job. And then they bounce back. They start rattling off these 30-point wins, albeit against suspect opposition. And through the playoffs, they've been able to manufacture ways to win. Good running game against Ohio State. What do you make of that? Is that what it essentially boils down to? If you're going to pick one element, if Notre Dame can run the ball successfully, we know that Riley Leonard is not a particular favorite of one of the friends of the program here, the professor, astute college football observer, and he thinks the guy absolutely blows. That rag arm. Every time he mentions that word, I hear myself sitting at the Marklight Stadium. They had cement seats where we were doing our broadcast from when I was doing Hurricanes baseball. And there were three guys that sat just off the broadcast site. The crowd would be kind of scattered about there. They didn't draw thousands for every game. If you're a Tuesday night against the University of Maine, you're not seeing the place packed. Even though this was
dominant program, yeah, they were the program. Maybe,
yeah. I mean, they did a great job with that. And at one time, it was like sort of. I wouldn't say it was a major player, but it received more than its share of attention. Hurricane baseball, with Ron Frazier being the great Ron Frazier, tremendous promoter of the sport. And after that, they didn't have the same level of success, but they did have some success.
Jim Mora, I mean, they won.
Jim Mora was a great guy. Couldn't have been a nicer human being. But there were two guys that sat, and the seats would get kind of cold. Like your ass was freezing by the time in early spring or whatever. You get one of those raw nights out there once in a while with rain and everything and schmutz. And so yeah, it wasn't the most comfortable thing. And he said, there were like three guys, and the entire game, every time the opposing pitcher was about to go into his windup, they would go, "Rag arm, rag arm." It was like being lost at sea, right? And no matter what the situation was, Hurricanes could be winning by 20, they could be losing by 15. It didn't make any difference. They did that through the whole game. And every time I see Riley Leonard, that starts ringing in my head.
Yes, he's not. His throwing ability is not strong. The reality is, look, the problem for Notre Dame is when they had the Love kid, they have a really good run game. He is banged up. He is playing, but he is not himself. So you don't know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah.
The two ways Notre Dame keeps this game close to me is if you can get a run game going and you get the defense after Howard, you can hang in this game. And the other thing is the Ryan Day factor, right? Like Ryan Day, especially in that Michigan game, even though we've now seen he has three different receivers that are probably first-round picks. He has other receivers that after them that'll probably be first-round picks. Yet they got into this, Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes. Let's just run. And look, they have two running backs that would be first-round picks in any other era. But if you can throw it around, make them have to defend the pass, then you can run it. Why wouldn't you do that? He was doing this 3 yards on a cloud of dust bullshit for no reason, which allowed Michigan to stay in the game. Then they got away from it. Then they were like, all right, fuck it. We're paying Chip Kelly millions of dollars to be an offensive coordinator. Let's let him open it up. They opened it up. They've been blowing everyone out for the most part. Texas is the one team that had the talent, so they could sort of hang around with them. But if they keep it open, Notre Dame is not Texas. Notre Dame does not have the talent that Texas has. They should blow Notre Dame away. But again, you never know when Chip Kelly's been getting a lot of credit. You never know if that gets to Ryan Day, so he wants to show we don't need to do that. We can win for a weird way. Like those are the two ways I could see Notre Dame being in this game.
So your wager would be based on
I think
Ryan Day will find a way to fuck this up. It may still end up with a national championship. But and in all likelihood will. That would be my thought. The 8.5 points a little prohibitive. So how's that for being a non-committal? Temptation would be to take the points.
I'll take Ohio State
because I've come to the point where I despise Ohio State even more than I do Notre Dame, which is a very strange place for me to arrive, Lubie. As you know.
Weird. Yeah, it's weird.
All right. Well, anyway, enjoy the game tonight.
Yes.
What time are they going to get that thing started? It'll be like a 4-hour game. Although, no, if Notre Dame is running the ball effectively, then the clock will.
It says 7:30, so probably like a quarter to 8. I guess.
7:30. It's listed as. I thought they started these things at like 9.
It's a college game on Monday night, like 7:30.
Okay.
It says 7:30. It'll probably be like a quarter to 8, closer to 8 o'clock. I would say.
All right. Good luck with all of your wagers on this stuff. Also, I don't know if it's today because it could be tomorrow. I think it already is tomorrow in Australia. But you know me with my tennis advocacy and being a big fan, and I love it that it's on all night in the middle of the night. But you do have Djokovic and Alcaraz in the quarterfinals.
Oh, Jesus.
I believe that match will take place today. Joker playing some pretty good tennis. He keeps grabbing his knee periodically.
Yeah, it's getting there.
And the age certainly is a factor. Alcaraz very much on top of his game, is on a long winning streak. And but it should be sensational stuff. I mean, if you wanted to see sparks fly in a tennis match, you can see it in a lot of them. But in this case, with what's at stake and the reputation of the two guys already, Alcaraz, young kid, already 4 slams. Djokovic could get credit as being, I mean, can you say he's the greatest player of all time? You might have to concede him that.
He's in the conversation. And people will say Federer. They may say Nadal. Some may say Sampras.
Rod Laver is always the one.
Some may say Laver.
The Rocket.
But he either has or will have the record for
he has it.
Slams. So he's done what you would think you need to do to be the best ever. Yes, he's in that conversation for sure.
And both of those guys played into their 30s. Nadal was kind of breaking down before this a few years prior.
Yeah.
Federer, lasted a very long time, super fit. But Joker, to be playing at this level at the age he's at, pretty incredible. Rivaled perhaps, although not in terms of anywhere near accomplishment, by everybody's fan favorite, Gael Monfils, who last I saw was still in a tournament. This guy.
He's still playing, Jesus.
38 years old, yeah. He runs out of gas. Like if it gets past the third set, he's finished.
Yeah.
But he's been surviving. So, but Alcaraz and Djokovic, definitely worth a view if it's not on at 3 a.m. live. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Beginning of a new venture. We'll smooth a few things out tomorrow. I'll be with you at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, yes.
Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Monday through Friday, 8 to 9, right here on Bleacher Brothers and their various affiliations and other platforms. And we're excited and ready to go. If you like today's show, you might want to question your mental
acuity.
You thought it sucked so bad that you would never tune in again. We certainly understand. And if it even just raised your interest level a little bit, we're more than happy to be here for you again tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. For Mike Lubie, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my